Hey, in this lesson, we're going to be covering the JavaScript break statement. And what the break statement does is it terminates a loop or a switch or a label, and it allows you to transfer control from that statement and allows you to terminate the statement. So let me give you an example of it. So an example of having a break within a loop. So let's set the value of x to be equal to 0, and we're going to do a while and continue to loop while x is less than 10. And then we do need to increment x. So increment x plus 1. And let's output the result here in the console. And we'll console whatever the value of x is. So output that. So let's see what happens in the console. So we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As we're starting with 0 and we're continuing the loop while it's less than 10. So how about we add in a break? So we'll add in another condition and we'll check to see if x is equal to 5. And we can do an absolute because making sure that the data type is the same as well. And then let's add in a break here. So it's going to break if x is equal to 5. And then let's output the value of x in the console after the statement finishes running. So after that condition finishes running. So what do you think the value of x will be at this point, and how many x's are we going to see within the console? So let's check it out and we'll run it. And if you said that at 5, so once x is equal to 5, it's going to stop the condition, you're correct. So what happened here is it ran through and it incremented the value of x. And then at this point, when x was equal to 5, then it broke that. And once it breaks it, it doesn't finish writing it out into the console. So that's why we don't see the value of x being 5 in line 22, but we do see it in line 26 because that's the next statement that runs after the break. So it runs through once x equals 5, it breaks the loop, and these two statements don't get run or executed, and we move on to the following line, line 26. And I'll also do one for continue. So let's check out and see if x is equal to 3. And if it is, then what we'll do is we're going to continue. And what continue does is it's a keyword that allows us to break one iteration of the statement. So we'll see what happens within the console, and it's still going to be breaking at 5. How about we change that to 8 so we get more iterations of the console message. So what do you think the output is going to be, and what do you think we're going to see in the console? Remember, we're breaking, we've got the continue if x is equal to 3. So let's see what happens. So what happened here is we ran 0, 1, 2. So it's constantly still spinning, and that's because we've entered into an infinite loop. So the browser's not able to handle that. So effectively, we shouldn't be using the continue within the while loop because it's causing an error there. It's causing it to create an infinite loop on the continue. So let's save that and we'll refresh it, or we'll close it and open up a new page. And we're going to try that within the for loop. And I'll open up the dev console. So we've got the console there once again. So we're not going to keep the continue loop in the while. Let's try this with for loop. So let I equals 0. So same format. And then we'll do for I equals 0. And then we're going to continue while I is less than 10, and then also increment I by 1. So do it within a for loop. And actually, I'm going to take the value of I and keep it within the for loop so that as we loop through, we'll console log out whatever the value of I is. And we'll see what that looks like. So refresh. And this is the value of I at line 19 that's being output. So now let's check out what happens to if we have a continue, and if I equals 3, then we continue. So what do you think continue is going to do here within the for loop? Let's refresh. And what happened here is we've got 0, 1, 2, and we've skipped 3. So the continue within the for loop, so it didn't create an infinite loop, but it allowed us to skip the one iteration. And also let's try break. So we'll check to see if I is equal to 8. And if it is, then we'll run a break. So what do you think is going to happen here? And what do you think the output in the console is going to be? I'm going to comment out these values for the console so that we only have the for loop sitting within the console. What do you think is going to be output in the console? Remember, I is starting at 0. Let's refresh. We've got 0, 1, 2. Notice 3 is missing because we did the continue 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when it hits 8, it breaks the for loop. So that's how you can use for and continue within your JavaScript code. So try it out.